Yeah, here let me break it down. Yeah, I'm gonna make it now. Give me some time.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tyler Egan. I'm a certified personal trainer, a weight loss specialist, and a fitness nutrition specialist. And all that really means is that I can help you burn fat and build muscle. What that doesn't tell you, though, is how much of a nerd I am about the human anatomy. One of the things I've learned over my career of lifting and through all of my injuries is that mobility is so important for health and longevity of your joints and to put you in a good position to kick some serious ass in your training or just to live a healthy and long life without a lot of joint pain. One area of focus that I've learned is very important is our hips. And I'm gonna say something that many people would disagree with, but I also think mobility is a key component to fat loss. And I'll explain myself. Many people who live inactive lives end up storing fat in a lot of similar areas. And in my personal opinion, these areas are because the muscles have become very weak and the body stores fat there as a defensive mechanism. Now, I have nothing to prove that I'm right. It's just my theory. What this creates is the lack of neuromuscular control with a lot of these muscles. It decreases range of motion. So then when you go and you decide that you're gonna start training, whatever the case may be, you can't actually feel the muscles contracting and working adequately, so your joints take on more stress. This is where mobility comes into play. By increasing your mobility, increasing range of motion, increasing flexibility, what you actually do is you create more joint stability, more range of motion, and it allows you to regain that neuromuscular control with the muscles, which allows you to activate them more, which then allows you to contract them harder and work them a little bit tougher so you can see more results. But with all that being said, today I would like to show you some of my favorite hip mobility exercises that are very simple, and I have a couple of progressions and regressions for them, so that anybody at any level can start doing this right now while you're watching the video, whatever. So the first exercise we're gonna start with here is a kneeling hip flexor stretch. I'm sure if you've gone and Googled hip mobility, this will be one of the first exercises you see. And the reason for that is because many people deal with stiff hip flexors, muscles that shorten the distance between our hips and our torso. This happens a lot due to sedentary lifestyles or just sitting a lot. The problem with this is our hip flexor muscles run very deep and they connect to some of your lumbar vertebrae. So if they're stiff, you can picture these are your hip flexor muscles. They can pull your pelvis up one way. I deal with this myself. It's not fun. So this exercise is really great. You can even lean a little bit more forward to get a deeper stretch. You can hold on to something and create assistance if you need to. You wanna make sure you place your front foot at about a 90-degree angle. You can tuck your toes if you want to. You don't have to. You're gonna get a good stretch on this one way or another. And you really wanna think about squeezing through that back butt cheek. The reason for that is we have antagonist muscles, meaning the muscles on the opposite end of the joints work antagonistically. So our hip flexors flex the hip, our glutes extend the hip. So if we extend the hip, theoretically, we should lengthen the hip flexors a little bit more, and that can make a difference, especially with those deeper muscles. Now, if that's too easy for you, you're not really getting a good stretch, now you can throw your foot up on a couch, a bench, whatever you got. I'm using a bench here, but this is called the couch stretch. And this is a fantastic mobility drill to do. The reason for that is you're not just gonna hit your hip flexors on this one. If you see the flexion at my knee, that my knee is kind of bent in the back there, that is going to stretch out your quads even more. If you have a wall and you wanna do this, you can flex your toes up and get even more of a stretch in your anterior tibialis. Fantastic. Again, if you need to, you can use assistance on this. I do it all the time. It doesn't matter. You're still gonna get a good stretch on this bitch. So again, really think about firing the glutes forward, and you should feel especially on this one, you should feel a deep stretch in those hip flexors. So the next one we're gonna go to is something that works external rotation. Again, another part of the hips that get very stiff from frequent sitting. External rotation, like I just showed, is what we're gonna be working on. And you can start by just laying down. You may get a good stretch on it here. You wanna make sure your knee is laying down as far down as possible. You may not get as low as me, and that's fine. If that's too easy, you can pull your leg up like this. Now, keep your back flat, and if that's too easy, you can sit up straight, chest tall, because the thoracic spine, your upper back, and your glutes are actually connected through connective tissue, and they can influence one another. So you really wanna make sure you're keeping that chest up nice and tall if you're gonna do this one. Now, one more step you can do is you can lay back down, put your hands on the ground, keep your shoulders flat, and you can rotate that hip towards, away from the side that you wanna work. You should feel an opening in the back side of the hips here. At some point, I believe I point to it so you know what I mean, but it's right here, the lateral hip muscles, the glute medius, that really stabilize the hip. you're gonna open those bitches up and it's gonna feel phenomenal. I'm assuming you got stiff hips. But I'm just gonna say this, drink your water. Again, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And now that I'm talking about water, water's very important. It lubricates our joints. So if you're not staying hydrated, this stuff may be for nothing. So keep that in mind. Again, same thing here. You can work your way up the progression, regression scale if you need to. Keep your again, shoulders stay flat on that one. Make sure they stay flat. The last one I have for you are some seated windshield wipers. You're gonna get in that same position that you were in for the lateral hip muscle stretch. And you're just gonna work your legs back and forth in like a windshield wiper type fashion. Now you'll see when I come over here, my hips actually come off the ground a little bit on my left side right there. And you wanna make sure your hips stay down. Now, I lack a little bit of internal rotation on my left side, so that's why it looks like this. That's just an excuse though. You may find that you have one hip stiffer than the other one. That's normal. We are asymmetrical human beings. It's gonna happen. You're dominant on one side, right? It's the nature of the beast. So when you do this, try to keep your hips on the ground. Try your very best not to force positions. You don't need to force a stretch. If you can feel a stretch, you don't have to push beyond that. Just go to where you feel the stretch and then windshield wiper your hips back. Go back and forth just till you feel those hips opening up a bit. As you do this for 10 to 20 reps, I would say go more towards 20, you'll feel your hips open up more. And what you'll notice is you can get lower and lower each time. And that's the video, guys. Those are some of the easiest hip mobility drills you can do that require very minimal equipment that are extremely effective. Our hips are the powerhouse of our body. They are a mobile joint. I'm referring to when I say that is there's a joint by joint concept. You have stable joints stacked on top of mobile joints, stacked on top of stable joints, and so far up the kinetic chain. When we lack mobility in one joint, we will make up for it at another. Same thing goes for stability. That's why having adequate hip mobility is so crucial. If you're trying to get a heavy squat, if you wanna build big legs, if you're a guy or a girl and you wanna build a big butt, guys should too. You need to have good hip mobility. Your hips are everything. They take the tension off your knees. They take the tension off your back. If you have lower back problems, start here. Hip mobility is everything. So guys, if you took anything from this video, please drop a comment down below. Let me know what you wanna see more of. If you wanna see more hip mobility, I have way more tricks up my sleeve. If you wanna see anything else, drop a comment down below, leave a like, share this with somebody who lacks hip mobility. I know you're out there, and I'm coming for that.
I could do this all day, I could hear 'em all.